All right. Thanks for having us, Matt. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're really excited today to talk about blended learning and how you can use Book Creator to do that, right? To create that equitable blended learning. I don't know if we really need to do too much introduction after that because Matt did a really good job there with that fantastic video. So we probably won't do too much, but we may have a little bit to add to that. So, Catherine, I think everybody can see our books. Anything else you want to say about you and what you do?
Well, probably my beautiful new home that I just moved into. I don't know if you noticed my background,
I
but
like it.
it really looks like I really live here. But I don't know about you, but I love my new home.
It's
Um,
very nice.
anyways, but yeah, I thought that was a great introduction. I don't know much else. I do live in Chicago, though. I don't know if you saw in the comments. So a lot of Illinois peeps in the house. Really happy to be here and learning with all of you about blended learning with Book Creator. Feel free to throw some questions in the chat if you have any, but a lot of aha moments if you have them. We love to hear them in the chat as well.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and I don't have a whole lot to add either, other than the fact that I have three children. I'm not in Illinois. I'm actually just a couple states over in Ohio, which isn't too far. It's like a short 8-hour drive, I guess, depending on where in Illinois you're coming from. So not too bad. But I also, other than the fact that I'm a former teacher, special ed teacher, and tech integrator, I love golf. So I don't know if there's any golfers in the house. It's not golf weather here in Ohio because it's 25 degrees today. So I am definitely not going out there. But if you're not a golfer, this usually gets people to raise their hands. Does anybody have a dirty car? And don't lie to me because I know you live in Illinois. Because if you're like Ohio, then we all have dirty cars. We're coming up on salt season here. And so, we all have dirty cars. And the reason I ask that is because on the side, I'm actually a certified auto detailer. So if you want to take that short 8-hour trip over to Ohio, come see me, and I'll be more than happy to clean that dirty ride for you. Matt says his is nasty. All right. So yes, happy to keep it clean for you. Clean cars make you feel better. All right. So anyway, just saying.
So
But yes, like Catherine and I said, we are going to be talking about creating an equitable blended learning environment for your students using Book Creator. And so we're going to start off here with a little bit of a definition of blended learning. So, Catherine, do you want to? Oh wait, I forgot who's talking what today. So I'm actually talking, and Catherine's going to be doing the demo. So, blended learning. What is blended learning? Blended learning is basically this combination, right, of face-to-face and online and in some form or another, right? Whatever that might be. And everybody's a little bit different. And I know that, when COVID hit, right, there was a lot of online learning and there were some nice benefits to that. There were probably some pain points. And so when kids came back, blended learning, this hybrid model kind of took shape a little bit more in some schools. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And specifically, we're going to talk about blended learning through a couple different lenses. But before we do that, one of the things that Catherine and I always like to discuss is why Book Creator. I think that not even if it's, we're talking blended learning, just in general, the question might be why Book Creator versus something else, right? Or why Book Creator versus pen and paper, or why Book Creator, whatever the case may be. And so we're going to talk a little bit about why. We like this book. We're not going to read word for word, but I'm sure that Catherine and I both have some stories to tell to kind of go along with each of these aspects of Book Creator. And I think for me, first and foremost, whether it's a blended learning environment or an in-person learning environment or fully virtual, it doesn't matter. One of the hardest parts is engaging your students, right? And getting your kids excited about learning, getting your kids excited about the technology or whatever the case may be. And for me, it was no different. My students absolutely did not like to write. They did not like to be in class. They did not want to do anything that I asked them to do until I showed them Book Creator. And once I showed them Book Creator, everything kind of changed because they're like, wow, this is super cool. This is fun. This is easy. I really love it. And from a classroom engagement standpoint, I shouldn't have to say a whole lot more other than students love it, teachers love it, and the kids can't wait to keep creating stuff, right, in Book Creator. And so I think that's really important. And Catherine, anything else to add to that? Or Spot on.
Spot on.
All right.
Students love it and teachers love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next thing I think that's really important about Book Creator and why we might want to use Book Creator is that it not only is exciting and engaging just in general, but it really adds excitement and engagement to every subject. I know a lot of times you hear the words book creator and you probably think English language arts, things like that. And it's just not true, right? You can use book creator for all kinds of things. So it doesn't matter if you're a math teacher or science or social studies or phys ed, it really doesn't matter. Everybody can use Book Creator. And not only can everybody use Book Creator in every subject, every student can use Book Creator. All right, it doesn't matter how old you are, it does not matter your ability levels. I personally have used Book Creator with students as young as 3 and as old as 98, and I know that Catherine is exactly the same, right? We have used students or Book Creator with everybody. And as we're talking about a blended learning environment, sometimes that online piece can be quite difficult, especially if the tool or the task is difficult. And so with Book Creator, what's really nice is that it is super easy. All right. And that is why Book Creator is amazing. And we're going to talk more about that here in a minute. I think one of the things that we notice right away, especially nowadays, is that kids love being creators, right? They want to make things and be content creators of sorts. And if you don't believe me, go look at YouTube, go look at Instagram, go look at TikTok, go look at any of those tools that kids are using. They're making stuff all the time because they want to share with other people. And sometimes they're just not doing it well, right? Like maybe sometimes the stuff is good, a lot of times it's garbage, and kind of like, how do we make that better? And how can we take that love of creation and bring it into the classroom? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. As I mentioned earlier, Book Creator is really, really easy. For those of you that have ever seen a webinar by Catherine and I, we always say there's literally 2 buttons that you have to push, and that's it. And if you haven't tried Book Creator before, I definitely encourage you to jump right in there and get in there and play with it because it is really easy. And more than likely, you and your students will have it figured out in about 15 minutes flat. So very, very easy. And then the other important piece that we always like to kind of talk about is that Book Creator, education is at the foundation of everything that we do here at Book Creator. And it started with that man right there in the middle. His name is Dan Amos, and he is our founder. And Dan Amos, he was a software engineer for another company. His wife is a children's author. And one day they realized very early on that their son was struggling. Later on, he was diagnosed with dyslexia. And Dan needed to do something to try to help his son through school. And so he created Book Creator so that his son could write and read about things that he wanted to write and read about. And the rest is kind of history. And that's where we are here today, right? Book Creator has been, put out there around the world, and teachers and students from all over the world absolutely love it. So that's kind of our why, right? And the importance of why Book Creator might be something that you might want to look at when it comes to blended learning. So today's topics, we're going to look at blended learning through these different lenses, all right? And the importance of these different lenses in the environment, whether that is the online environment or the in-person environment, these are the pieces that we really think are going to hammer home our point. And so first off, we're going to start with the launch or the hook, right? Every good lesson, whether it's face-to-face or in person, has that hook, right? That thing that hopefully gets those kids excited and wanting to have more. I remember watching a video at one point. I can't remember what the video was, but it was this visual of a fire hydrant and a child trying to drink from the fire hydrant, right? The water was just like blasting them in the face. And that's what we want learning to be. We want our kids to run to the fire hydrant and just soak in as much of that information as we can and be excited about it. So for me and Catherine, I'm sure it's probably similar, but maybe Catherine has some other ideas. But for me, when it came to trying to give, a hook, trying to get kids or teachers, because I used to teach a graduate class, excited about something, a lot of times it started with a video. All right. Now, I'm not going to show you this whole video right now, but this is one of my favorite videos to get people talking, especially when we're talking about equity and we're talking about technology. And this is the video, The Myth of Average. So if you ever get a chance to watch this video, it's called The Myth of Average by Todd Rose. It's a TEDx video. And basically, his whole idea is that if we are designing learning environments for the average student, all right, which I think a lot of us have probably done. We've got kids down here, we've got kids up here, and everywhere in between. So if we just teach to the middle, if we teach to the average, then everything will be fine. And what he realized and what he found out through his research is that if we teach to the average, we're actually teaching to nobody, right? And so that's not good. And he was saying that with technology, you don't have to teach to the middle. You don't have to teach the average. You can teach to the extremes. All right. And one of my favorite examples from this video that he mentions is a student named Billy. And Billy is a fifth grader who loves science, but he's also a below average reader. And so when Billy goes into science class, a lot of times his teachers don't think he really knows a whole lot about science because his answers don't fit into the box, right, that the teachers have given him, or he can't even answer the questions because he can't read them. And at the very end, to get that hook again, Todd Rose poses this question. He goes, you know what, maybe Billy has the cure for cancer in his mind, but we'll never know because science is first and foremost a reading class. And so I thought that was a really powerful kind of thought, right? Like, how are we as teachers designing to the edges so that we can, help all of our students be successful? And so, again, a lot of times we use video as a way to get kids hooked on something. And so here in Book Creator, we do have some options for video. And I want to talk a little bit about it because not only can you add video in Book Creator, you can add video with captions, all right? And this has some other benefits that we'll talk about as we go through this. All right, but Catherine, you want to talk through some of this as I kind of go through it here?
Absolutely. So what's nice is it's already embedded in Book Creator. So when you are creating, let's say, content for your students, you can create the videos right within Book Creator, or you can have your students even create their own videos in Book Creator as well, which we'll talk a little bit in another portion of our segment today. But so John can create his video. So I'll let you create your hook real quick, John.
All right. So it gives me that 3, 2, 1. Hey, students, guess what? Today in class, we are going to learn something so cool that you might pass out. And that is, no, wait a minute. I don't want to tell you just yet. I want you to show up and maybe you'll get it. All right. So whatever the video is, we're going to add that video right there into Book Creator. And it could be a teacher created video. It could be a student created video. It could be something that we take from YouTube, right? But that video is going to get embedded right there onto the page. Now, I always joke and say, depends on how long your video is and how much your internet wants to fight with you on a Tuesday. But it may take a second or two to get there. All right. Once the video is there, you'll be able to resize it. You'll be able to move it around and do whatever you need to do with that video. All right. But what we are here to talk about is captions, right, Catherine?
Yes. So now what you're going to do is click on that inspector button, which is the second button to the right. And if you scroll down, you're going to click on add captions. What's great about Book Creator is whatever language you're speaking in, and we have over 120 different languages to select from. You can select that language. You can either have it generate automatically, or you can enter in it manually. What I like about the enter in it manually is maybe you wanted to enter in a translation. You can enter in your translation here. So that can be really helpful for students right there.
All right. Did you see that, Catherine? I was going to attempt to speak Spanish and it all vanished. So I would just put hola in there. But yes, so Catherine is 100% correct. So I have my video in English, which is great. And then I can generate the captions in English, or like Catherine said, I just enter them manually in another language. And then when I hit done, I've got English video with Spanish subtitles. And now our videos look like Netflix, Catherine. And kids absolutely love the Netflix captions.
And I also think that our captioning, compared to some other platforms, our captioning actually pops up pretty good, which I really like.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely something to think about. And then kind of a fun fact while we're talking about this, students love video. Sometimes students aren't so good at reading. Guess what? If you combine video with the captions, there's some research out there that says that doing that will help improve student reading proficiency. So in my mind, like, why not, right? Like, if it's going to improve my kids' reading proficiency and it's going to literally take me 2 seconds to do, then I might as well do it, right? Because it can help, it's going to help. All right. So, and there's a lot of other things I'm sure that you can do with a hook for your students. And maybe as we're going through this, if you have other ideas for ways to get those kids hooked on a lesson, throw those into the chat window as we move on. We'll take a look at those. The second topic that we want to talk about is the new content. All right. So a lot of times introducing new content, whether it's in person or remote, can also be kind of a roadblock, right, for your students. And so in Book Creator, we've got some really cool ways that you can actually, introduce new content to your students. And sometimes we use some of our old content to make it even better. Isn't that right, Catherine?
Yes, and one of my favorites is the PDF importer. So when you how do we want to show this? Do we want to show it as a new book or putting it?
Let's do a new book first, and then we'll do the other way second.
Okay, so when you create a new book, you have the option at the top right-hand side to import a PDF. So what you can do is you can import from browsing files or just drag and drop it right on in. So looks like John's going to import it from his files. So we'll import this PDF. What's great about Book Creator too is if, let's say this PDF was 10 pages long, you can actually select which specific pages you wanted. So if you had like an answer key, you would not have to select those answer key pages and so forth. This one's just one page, so we'll just select which one we want. Let's go ahead and select portrait. And what you need to remember is this is an image. So if you want to edit your image, you need to click on the image. You'll notice that there is a little pen tool, which John just clicked on. And this is where you can start editing your PDF. And there are little edit tools that you can actually use. So the first one I want to show you is the eraser. So if we click on that eraser right there, you can actually erase something right on your PDF that maybe you didn't want to actually have on there.
I always like that one, Catherine, because a lot of times in a PDF or a book or something like that, they have questions, and I'm kind of like, I don't really like that question. Like, I think I can do better. So there you go, right? We can get rid of that question.
Yeah, you can just get rid of one of them if you wanted to. You can erase it. What you also can do is with those tools, if you hit done, it is an image. So you can actually crop your PDF because with images you can crop. So if you wanted to, or actually click on the inspector sign and go to crop, you could crop your image. So if you want to take away that fan, or maybe
gotcha.
there you go, and just crop that. And that's another way to erase something if you wanted to. So different ways. You can actually also color in using this too. I'm not sure if you have one that you could use to color in, but
this can be really bad. But I'm going to add I'll color in the background here. So nobody would ever do that.
I don't know if you do that.
But just to show you that you can. You can do that. Yeah.
So you can fill in. And then lastly, what's really great about it is you can also use the highlighting tool. So if you wanted to annotate, you can use the annotation tool and then annotate on top of it. What I like about the PDF editor too is making PDFs accessible. So we have the record voice option. So if you go down to record the voice, John can record reading the directions for the students.
Spell out short vowel words. Write the missing vowel for each word below. Choose from A, E, I, O, U, which I have highlighted in yellow.
Perfect. And now you've made an accessible PDF for your students, which will help all of them.
Absolutely. And if there's any former special ed teachers or current special ed teachers on here, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because you read the directions to your kids and you say, does anybody have any questions? And nobody raises their hand, and you say, okay, go. And as soon as you say go, hands go up and somebody says, what were the directions? So this is a perfect opportunity. Now, Catherine, I was thinking about something just now as we're talking about this PDF tool. I think maybe I'm thinking more towards like COVID, when kids just like were sent home and they didn't have anything with them. That became kind of an issue. But a lot of times teachers have some of these PDFs laying around, right? They've been using them for years. Maybe they're good, maybe some of them are bad, whatever the case may be. But teachers have been using these PDFs, and there really hasn't in the past been a way to spice it up a little bit, right? So now we can take these old PDFs and we can turn them into something better, right? We can move up that Sammer model kind of ladder and go from total substitution, which is what we did when we just made the PDF, into things where we actually are transforming the learning by adding audio. We're able to highlight things. We've got loads of examples of students in various grade levels, especially high school, that are using Book Creator for digital notebooks, right, of sorts. So, and again, using the old PDFs and science labs that teachers have had for years is very powerful. So I absolutely love the PDF import. Now, Catherine, you did mention there's another way to get to the PDF import other than what we just did with a new book. So what is that?
Yes. So you can actually drag and drop a PDF right into a Book Creator page as well. So if John wants to just drag and drop one right from his desktop, or
which I might. Oh, here's. Well, I don't know if I should do that one. I don't really have one, but yes, you can drag and drop. So
yeah,
we'll
or upload from your file. Yeah, you can just drag and drop one right in there, or import from files.
Yeah. And the other thing that's kind of interesting about PDFs is if you go to the More button and go to your files, like Catherine said, you can pull a PDF in this way. All right. But here's the interesting part. If you start from inside the book, now it gives you two options. Do you want to add pages to the book? And it will turn the book into the PDF, or the PDF into the book, and add pages? Or do you want to embed it as a link? And sometimes this is okay. Sometimes it's not so great because it just literally puts a PDF logo on the side of your page. Kids can't see it until they click on it, and then it just opens it up in a little pop-up. So they can't really do anything with it in that case. But I have seen some English teachers that would use it. So they would put the PDF over on this side and just say, okay, read this article. And then on the other side of the page, add your reflection or your analysis of what you read on the other side of the page. So there's lots of different ways you can do this. But yeah, I still think that the PDF import is one of my favorite new tools in just the different ways that we can use it. All right. Now, this has to be one of my favorites. I don't know about you, Catherine, but I love using Book Creator to see what students actually understand, all right, about the content. And sometimes in virtual blended learning environments, truly getting an idea of what the kids understand can be difficult. So for example, my daughter just was helping her with her math homework. And just by looking at an answer, sometimes I don't really understand how she got there, right? Like, I'm like, okay, you got the answer 7. How did you get there? And depending on how long it is between when she does it and when I ask her that question, she may not remember how she got there, right? She's like, I got 7. I don't remember. So I love that Book Creator really allows students to show their understanding, but allows them to show their understanding in ways that aren't typical, all right? Because I know when I was in school, the way I showed my understanding was paper and pencil. And when I got into high school, I was allowed to use a pen. So like that was it, right? Like that was the only real way that I could show my understanding. And there's a lot more that we can do in Book Creator. So Catherine, what about dictation?
Yes. So just like we were using the voice recorder before, we can click on that plus button and scroll down to the record button. And this is one of my favorites for demonstrating understanding because it's bringing that student voice into their books to check for understanding.
So very similar to what we did with the PDF, students can simply just say, you know what, Mr. Smith, I got the answer 2 because I took 5 and I drew 5 little circles and I took away 3 of those little circles and I came back with 2.
Perfect. And you can take it up a notch by adding a transcript. Is this already one of our next pages?
That's a good question, Catherine. My brain just went completely blank.
Just go over it anyways.
Yeah, we're going to do it anyway. We talk about it later, but that's okay.
Oh, we do? Okay, well, I'll wait then.
We'll hold on to that one.
Well, yeah, I'll wait.
All right. Another one of my favorite dictation ones, though, has to be just the text alone. Sometimes students will be required to put text down, right, as their answer. And if you're anybody, or if any of you have students like my student, Michael Eddy, then he might look at you and say, Mr. Smith, I don't get it. Like, I don't know how to spell. I don't know where the stupid keys are. Like, I don't want to do this. And this option is awesome because it allows the students to actually use this microphone to speak the text right onto the page. And so for Michael Eddy, this was amazing. And he actually came up with a phrase that I continue to use today, and that is called writing with your face. And I thought that was fantastic. I love this idea of writing with your face. So you can use this in a variety of ways. My 6-year-old daughter, who sometimes can't spell certain things because she's 6, she'll just hit the microphone and start talking, and the text will show up. My 10-year-old daughter, who does know how to spell and write sentences, might start writing a sentence, but then come across a word she doesn't know, and then hit the microphone and just say chameleon, right? And it pops up right there on the page. So there's a lot of really cool ways you can do this. So I'll click the microphone, and it will start writing what I am speaking. And that's it. And what I really like about our microphone is it really understands what you're saying. It's not like Siri, who thinks I have a mouthful of marshmallows when I talk to her. It just gets it, right? And it puts it right there on the page. And you hit done. There's your text. You can move it around, resize it, anything you want, right? Just by clicking that inspector button, change the size, the fonts, the colors, anything right there. All right. So yes, absolutely. So the microphone, the audio buttons, those are fantastic. All right, now, Catherine, we talked a little bit about the pen tool when it came to PDF, but I think there's so much more to the pen tool. So, Catherine, why don't you tell us a little bit about the pen tool?
Absolutely. So the pen tool is another great way to have a students check for understanding because they can draw with the pen tool. So if you click on the plus button and scroll down to pen, we have lots of different pen options. We have the pen, the paintbrush, the crayon, the highlighter, but then we have something called auto draw, and this is an AI feature from Google. So what you can do here is start drawing something. So what do you want to draw today, John?
Oh, I don't know. I always draw a bike, Catherine. Can we step out of the box here? Give me something to draw.
How about a turtle?
Ooh, a turtle. All right. So
Okay.
we'll
So
draw
start drawing a turtle. So John's going to try drawing a turtle, and at the top it says, "Did you mean?" And it's starting to guess. That's actually a pretty good turtle.
It's not a bad turtle, is it? Google has no idea what it is, but I think it's
like it. And it's going to start guessing what it's trying to draw. And there it is at the top. Did you mean?
So we've got some turtles.
The turtle right there. And there we go. There's his turtle.
I love it. Now, you know why I love this, though, the most, Catherine? I love it because once I draw it, if I wanted to, I could go to my cool colors. I could hit that fill bucket, and I can start filling in the different parts of the turtle, right? So if I wanted to really personalize it, I could certainly do that. And the kids are going to have an absolute blast using these different fill features and things like that. They're gonna love it. So I think that's really powerful. But the other thing that I love about this auto draw is that a lot of times, especially if you teach kids above about 5th grade, and you ask them to draw, they want to get in a fight with you, right? Like they're not interested in drawing. They say things like, I'm not an artist. I'm not creative. I hate the trackpad. I don't want to try to draw a turtle. As you could, when I tried to draw one, it was pretty decent, but it was quite difficult, right? Trying to draw that on my trackpad. So sometimes it causes issues. Well, with the auto draw, it doesn't matter if you're a good artist or not. You can try, and as long as you get relatively close, then something awesome pops up, right? And so I think that's really cool. Again, it goes back to that engagement piece. It goes back to that excitement, right? That kids are going to have for whatever it is that they're learning. And of course, you can rotate your turtle and flip it around and do all kinds of cool stuff with it. All right, Catherine, video. So yes, we already kind of mentioned this a little bit when we did the video for the hook. But the video can be a whole lot more, all right? And what I love about video is that when you click the plus button in the camera and you go to record your video, it gives your kids an opportunity to take whatever it is that they learned in school and kind of find it somewhere in the real world, all right? So especially in a blended environment, I think this is very powerful because maybe in class we talked about angles, right? And so I might, hey, Mr. Smith, today in class, you were talking about angles, and I could care less. until I got home and realized that, look, there's 90-degree angles like everywhere. There's like one right there between the ceiling and the wall. Here's one over here on the picture. There's 90 degrees angles everywhere, Mr. Smith. All right. So what's really powerful, because they can find that stuff right in the real world, whether it's angles, right? Maybe maybe they're interviewing somebody that lived during a historical period of time. Maybe they're recording an entire science lab that they did at home as part of their homework assignment or something like that. I think the video is very powerful. So again, depending on how long the video is and how long the internet wants to fight with you, may take you a few minutes, but it'll get there. All right. The next part that we wanted to talk about in terms of, blended learning was actual practice. Like, how do students actually practice things, right, that you maybe have given them in class, right? And so one of our fun ways that we can have kids demonstrate their understanding is through the voice search, right? And they can find things that are related to what they learned in class. So Catherine, where might we find that voice search?
The voice search. So is this the Noun Project integration?
Yeah, so Noun Project has voice search.
Okay, cool. So if you click on the plus button and click on the shapes, this is where you can find icons. So if you click on the search for anything, you'll notice that there's a microphone there. So this is where you can do your voice search. And this is our Noun Project integration. So what I love for this is vocabulary. So just like John was saying, it's a great practice for vocabulary. So let's say your vocabulary word was innovate. John,
innovate.
Sorry.
There we go.
And there you go. You can use the voice search, and you have all of these different icons for your vocabulary term. So you can select one of those. I like them also for presentations. If you're doing a presentation, you can put it on your page. But also for a vocabulary notebook, they have that icon, that representation for that word too.
Absolutely. This is also very good for foreign language students. So kind of along the lines of vocabulary, but being able to see a nice visual that helps them learn the English version of whatever their word is. This is great, right? Like, I love that. Now, voice search can also be found in a couple of other places. All right. Mm-hmm. So we have two other places that voice search can be found. And one is under the image option. All right. So like Catherine said earlier with the Noun Project icons, same kind of thing. Kids can search for images right here within Book Creator, so they can practice their vocabulary. They can practice, anything, and find images that relate to it. They can simply click the microphone, car. Oh, I went too fast. Car. There we go. And hit the microphone, and then all of these beautiful images of cars pop up. So that is place number 2. So Noun Project icons, and then in the images. And then the last place is under the plus button, under more, and we have Google Maps. If you have it turned on, and that's probably a discussion for a whole nother webinar, but if you have Google Maps turned on, there is a microphone right there. And so they can simply speak into it and find a specific location that they want to put into the book. So lots of different places that you can do the image search, or I'm sorry, the using your voice to search, right? All right, now we kind of teased this one a little bit earlier, Catherine, but audio transcript. So tell us a little bit about what an audio transcript is.
Yes. So with the record button, if you go down to record and start recording.
My name is John Smith, and I love washing cars.
Perfect. You can now add a transcript to this. So click on the inspector sign and scroll down to add transcript. Whatever language you're speaking in, just like we were doing in the video, over those 120 different languages, you can generate automatically, or you can enter in a transcript manually. So we just click generate automatically, and it's going to generate in the background so you can continue working if you would wish.
Now, Catherine, while we're actually talking about this, I love the transcript. It does take a couple seconds to get there. So while we're doing that, some of you may have noticed right away, especially if you use Book Creator, that my audio button does not look the same as every other audio button that has ever been in Book Creator. And that is because, I don't know what, a month or so ago, Catherine, we updated this where you can now click the inspector and you can actually change the color of the audio button. So when you say color, it chooses the outside edge. And when you say background, it chooses the inside of that button. So you can change these audio buttons to be whatever color you want them to be. I moved the clouds. I thought I was moving the audio button. I moved the clouds. But I think that's really cool because now, when we're talking about, getting kids to understand content, if it's maybe a blue button, maybe that's directions. If it's a green button, then maybe that is hints. If it's red, then it's the student talking. If it's yellow, it's the teacher talking. There's so many things, time shifting in novels. There's so many things you can do with coloring the audio button that I think are really fantastic. All right, so Catherine, what happened then? So it looks like it's all finished.
Yep, so click on that transcript. And there it is. My name is John Smith, and I love washing cars. And there's always that edit button. You can see, there was the only really edit he needed to make. But it really does pop up really nicely. And the same thing compared to some other platforms. I think it does a pretty good job.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can listen to it and do the text at the same time. You just have to hit the button to play it. And then quickly hit the text or the transcript button, and then you'll see both. So really, really cool and fantastic, especially, in those, virtual environments where maybe you have students who have hearing impairments. Having an audio button on the page is going to be very detrimental, right, to that student. So if you just hit that transcript button, now the students who cannot necessarily hear the audio will at least be able to read it. So I think that is very, very, very powerful. All right, now, in terms of practice, this is going to start to get really exciting. So, Catherine, we have a load of student templates in Book Creator, whether they're our templates, which you're going to love and you're going to be able to take and use however you want, or whether you want to create your own templates. This idea of student templates is very, very powerful. So, Catherine, let's talk a little bit about student templates and then we'll go actually show them where the student templates are.
Yes. So student templates are great. This is kind of switching gears and looking at Book Creator as a content creation tool as well as just students creating their own content. You can create your own content too. And this is where students can then demonstrate their understanding inside a template alongside the lesson. So what you can do is on the teacher dashboard, we actually have some pre-made templates that are great for this under the Discover tab. So you'll notice under student templates, you can toggle through all these different topics. The ones that we're going to focus on today are going to be the foundational literacy ones. And let's go and click into one of the vowels for today.
All right, first off, I have to say, holy moly, because look at that. That was not there an hour ago when I just did my last
webinar. Aren't they amazing?
Yes, we have a brand new literacy specialist that has joined our team. And Randy has been pumping out books left and right? She has done some amazing stuff. And so here are all of these amazing digraphs, vowel team books. And as you scroll through, we've got rhyming sounds and then, of course, letters. So sorry, Catherine, go ahead and continue.
No,
I got totally sidetracked because I hadn't seen those yet today.
Nope. I would say let's click into one of the vowel ones because they're brand new for today.
All right. So let's go. Which one, Catherine? You pick a vowel.
Just jump into one.
All right, there we go.
Well, here we go. So what you're going to do is you're going to click into Read Now first. You're going to notice that there is and there's a teacher guide, and then there's different literacy standards. And to actually have your students edit these, they need to be in edit mode. So to get into the edit mode, because right now it's in read mode, you're going to need to click on Remix.
Oh, I went too far. My apologies.
Oh, no, you're fine.
If you're in the Read Now, you can click the Remix button at the top. You can also click the Remix button if you're just in that kind of preview mode where the little pop-up happened. That's usually where I click on it. But I love the Remix in here because, like Catherine said, you can kind of go in and go through the book and decide if this is what I want my kids to do. So then you just hit Remix, like Catherine said.
And then it says add an editable copy to your Book Creator library. You're going to search for which one you want it in and say copy to library and then go to library. Once you go to library, you're going to get a copy for your students. And this is the one that you can actually edit to meet the needs of your students. What I love about in edit mode, once this loads, is it has teacher directions inside the edit mode in the margins. So you'll notice there's teacher tips for all the different pages that are going to help you with the lesson. So you're going to want to make a copy of this for your student copy, and then you're going to want your own copy for the teacher copy. And it explains this to you while you go through it.
Yeah. To make a teacher copy, Catherine, how do we do that? If I
So
want to make my own separate copy.
yeah, so on the book options right there, you just click on book options and just say copy book, and then put it into the same exact library, which is highlighted in blue. And now you would have a copy just for you, and the other one could be the student copy. Now, you're probably wondering, how do my students get a copy of this? And this is an exciting feature that we just released. I guess the main release was today, actually.
Yeah.
So this is exciting. We just released something called Assign a Book, which I am thrilled about. So to get this to your students, you're going to assign this book to your students. So you create a library, you put this book in that library, and then at the bottom of the book, there's a sharing options button, which is that middle button. Click on that button and scroll all the way up to where it says Assign Book. You click on Assign Book. You can either assign the book to everyone in the library, or you can assign this book to specific students in the library. There'll be a button that will say change once there's students in the library. What's nice for that is, let's say some students need template A, some need template B, and some need template C, because we want to meet the needs of all the learners in our classrooms. Then what you'll do is click Start Assignment, and then what will happen is, if they haven't signed in yet, when they do sign in, the book will appear right when they sign in, right in their library. If they're already signed in, all of a sudden it will just pop right up, and then it will be right in their library ready to go for them.
Now, Catherine, one of the worst parts for me as a teacher was getting all this work done, and then 2 months down the road, a new student joins the class, and then I got to go back and I got to figure out who I gave a copy to and all that cool stuff. Do we have a solution for that?
Yes. So if you click on, I believe if you click on the everyone, right? If you have everyone, if you've assigned everyone in a copy of the library, if anyone joins the library, they will instantly get a copy of it.
Yep, absolutely. I love it. Isn't that awesome? So that's one of my favorite things. So there's no thinking involved, right? New kid joins, they join your library, boom, they get a copy, right? How cool is that?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I love student templates. I love being able to do this I love how, Catherine, you mentioned being able to, assign different books to different kids based on their needs, right? If we go back to the very beginning when we talked about that video that, we're not teaching to the middle. I'm not probably giving this book to every kid in my class, because some of my kids don't need this vowel sound, right? They've got it lickety split. But maybe there's other vowel sounds that they're really struggling with. So we need to give them more supports to help them. So yeah, absolutely love being able to assign books to students, and being able to, those student templates, I think, are very, 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 very powerful. All right, now we are quickly kind of running out of time. So the last couple things that we want to talk about, just authentic learning experiences for your students. And I think one of the easiest ways to talk about authentic learning experiences is to actually put like real examples of things into books for students, or have students be able to find those real examples. Now, this 3D models, I'm going to probably open up a can of worms that we don't necessarily want to open up, but I love the 3D models, Catherine. I think they are fantastic. The only thing that I want to caution everybody about is that when you click the plus button and more, none of these options are going to be here right away. All right. So if you want to turn on any of these extra more features, you have to go to where it says add apps. Now, when you click add apps, it brings up all of these different apps that you can turn on to help enhance your learning experience. The reason that sometimes 3D models especially opens up a can of worms is because when you click on it and you click on the privacy details, some warnings: nobody under 16. all right, should be using this as a student. And if you're under 18, you need consent. All right. So there's some things in there about 3D models that are a little restrictive. All right. It's actually our most restrictive of the apps that we have. That being said, you can turn on 3D models, but only turn it on for yourself. All right. So if we really want to give kids an authentic experience with certain things, maybe we're traveling somewhere, right? So if I go to places and travel and I want to go to Big Ben, all right, we're talking about Big Ben in class, and I want my kids to actually see what Big Ben looks like. Once it's loaded and it gets nice and crystal clear, my kids can do a 3D kind of outside tour of Big Ben, and they can actually scroll in and zoom in different locations and all kinds of stuff. So I really love these 3D models, and there are 3D models in there, Catherine, for like what? Everything that you can possibly think of. Right?
Yeah.
Animals, food, transportation, Big Ben, body systems, you name it, you can put it in there. So it really does give that opportunity for a real authentic experience using those 3D models. Now, another option that we have is the embed content option, Catherine. So tell me about the embed content option.
Yes. So what you can do here is you can embed content. You can embed book creator books. You can embed YouTube videos. You can embed anything from the Google Suite, anything with an embed code, or also just like a link. I've seen teachers with quizzes, and different things like that. If you click on more and then down on embed, get really creative with what you want to embed on there. It's a great app smashing way of using Book Creator. And a great way to really be creative with showing, having students demonstrate their understanding as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, we think that, it's like, oh, cool, Book Creator is amazing. Everybody's going to love Book Creator, right? And while most kids do, there are still some kids who are like, I like Book Creator, but I'm really good at making videos, or I'm really good at doing something else, 3D animations, or whatever. As long as there's that embed code, like Catherine said, you can dump that right into a book, right? Which is really, really awesome. All right. So we are getting close to the end of our time here. So first of all, we just want to say thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Matt, thank you for having us. But like Matt said right there on the screen, if you do have any questions, please put those into the chat window. Hopefully you're excited. Hopefully you've learned some new ideas here for using Book Creator. Maybe you want us to leave. I don't know. It will be gone here in a couple minutes. But if you do have questions, please put those into the chat window, and we'll be more than happy to answer those questions.
With those 3D models, something that occurred to me as you were talking, if I paste a 3D model into a book and then I share that out with my students, would they be able to snag that and use elsewhere?
That's a great question, and I love the way you're thinking. So the short answer is no. Like if you
Good.
published a book and just sent the link to kids and said, hey, I want you to read this book, right? This is something I created to help you understand photosynthesis. They would be able to click on the 3D models. They'd be able to play around with it. That's it, right? They wouldn't be able to do anything else to it. Just read the book. However, what we have found is that some teachers are kind of like, we've got some really great 3D models in here. I would like my students to be able to, use some of those 3D models in their books while still protecting, the privacy and respecting the rules of the game here and things like that.
Copyright and so.
Yeah. So what we found is we've actually found a couple of ways that teachers have done this. And my favorite really is that they just make a blank book and they put a bunch of 3D models in the book and just say, hey, here's a book of 3D models that you're going to be able to use for this specific assignment. When they copy the book, those 3D models go with them. Then they can copy and paste those 3D models onto different pages that they might want. But they're not actually going in and being able to search those 3D models. They can just use the ones that are there.
Within Book Creator.
Within Book Creator. Same thing with Giphies. I've seen teachers use Giphies in that kind of way as well.
They can't use them though, like elsewhere though, John. They can't like copy and paste the 3D model like in a Google Doc or something.
Just within that book.
Book Creator. Okay.
Yep.
Once again, you can find John on Twitter at the iPod Teacher. Not dating ourselves there at all, are we, John?
Not at all. I keep getting asked, "Are you going to change that?" And I was like, "I can't change it because if I do, people won't know who I am. So forget it."
I have an iPod in my junk drawer, I think, that we never use. It's all on our phones now, right? And you can follow, let's see, you can follow Catherine at bookcreator_cat also. So thank you both for joining us on this very cool and also look for some resources. Can we share like a copy of the book you've been working on during the webinar? Or?
I forgot. Yep, I just posted it. I just made the publishable link, and it's remixable. So if you want to remix our book and mess around with it and add more stuff, you can certainly do that. But there's the book that we just presented from. So feel free to use it.
Groovy. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate your help today. And we look forward to learning more about Book Creator with Book Creator in the future.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Have a great one.